Hey students, welcome to our YouTube tutorial on mastering the quadratic formula. Today, we're tackling quadratic equations with the super quick and easy method. Whether you're a math whiz or just starting out, no worries. By the end of this video, you'll be acing those quadratic equations. So, the quadratic formula is like a special tool in math that helps us solve tricky equations called quadratic equations. As you can see listed on the whiteboard, the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's kind of like a secret code that helps us find the values of x that make the equation equal to 0. It might look complicated, but don't worry. We'll break it down step by step and make it super easy to understand. Now that we've covered the basics of what the quadratic formula is used for, we can move on to discussing specific problems. As you can see at the bottom, we have the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. Now that the equation is already set to 0, we can determine that the first term, x squared, can be our a. A is equal to 1. Our second term, 5x, can be our b. B is equal to 5. And our third term, 6, can be c. C is equal to 6. To plug those terms into the quadratic formula, just use the values we found for a, b, and c in the formula. So for our equation, a is 1, b is 5, and c is 6. Now, plug those values into the formula and solve to find the values of x. For the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0, we know that a equals 1, b equals 5, and c equals 6. Now let's focus on the part under the square root, b squared minus 4ac. Plugging in our values, it becomes 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6. Simplifying this, we get 25 minus 24, which equals 1. So when we plug in all the numbers and solve for under the square root, we get the square root of 1. And the square root of 1 is just 1, because 1 times 1 equals 1. It's like finding the number that, when multiplied by itself, gives us 1. Now we have x equals negative 5 plus or minus 1 all over 2. Now, with our equation x equals negative 5 plus or minus 1 all over 2, we're actually dealing with two separate equations. The subtraction equation looks like this. X equals negative 5 minus 1 all over 2. And the addition equation looks like this. X equals negative 5 plus 1 all over 2. So, we're going to solve each equation separately to find the possible values of x. Let's start with the subtraction equation. So for our subtraction equation, we have x equals negative 5 minus 1 all over 2. So to start solving this equation, we subtract the 1 from negative 5, which gives us negative 6. So we'll get x equals negative 6 over 2. Negative 6 divided by 2 then equals negative 3, which is our final answer for that equation. Now, using the addition equation, we have x equals negative 5 plus 1 over 2. For this equation, we start by adding 1 to the negative 5, so we get x equals negative 4 over 2. We then divide the negative 4 by 2, and we get our final answer for the addition equation of negative 2. Therefore, your final two answers for the equation x squared plus 5x plus 6 would be x equals negative 3 and x equals negative 2. Thank you for watching our video on a quick and simple guide to using the quadratic formula. If you found this video helpful in any way, please consider liking. Also, drop a comment down below with any further questions you may have.